Welcome to the Marketing B-Sides. I'm your host, Tom Hootman. I'm also the CEO and founder of Mixtape Digital. Hi, this is the podcast, of course, where each and every last one of you is a marketer, and not a single one of us even remotely pretends to have anything figured out. This is part 2 of our Kayla Kurtz episode. We spent a good couple hours, Kayla and I, catching up, had a wonderful conversation. And I'm honestly, we're still feeling things out here and trying to figure out like what the right cadence and like the questions and like not just having it be a bullshit session, but actually find some nuggets that make you, the watcher and listener, want to watch and listen again. So I'm pretty proud of this conversation because it was fairly in depth. We went for a pretty long time. And there were some heavier topics in the second half of this. Kayla, rightfully so, gave me some shit because she's the first woman who we've had on the podcast, and it's the 5th episode. And so we dove into that a bit. And we talk a bit about equity, equality, inclusion in digital marketing. And I'm really, really proud of the conversation that we had. Punches were not pulled, and really just thrilled and delighted with both hours of the conversation that I had with Kayla. And I hope to have her on again soon because she's badass. Without further ado, please, by the way, like, subscribe, rate, comment. And if there's a guest you want to see, shoot me a note, tom@mixtapedigital.com. I'll kick it over to the second half of the podcast at this point. Enjoy. Kathleen and sound. So you compete with a lot of agencies. I know you're a LinkedIn junkie like me.
Hell yeah.
And you get to see all the shit everyone posts. And you go up against agencies. There's agencies you've worked with before. There's all of this, like, is really like marketers just have taken over LinkedIn. What is some of the bullshit? Like, what do you think is total bullshit that like some agencies pull in our industry, or that is just total bullshit across our industry that frustrates the fuck out of you?
Let me get my seat, actually. This is the kind of question you have to sit down for. There's a lot of bullshit out there, but I think the biggest piece of bullshit is if you think you don't have to participate in that medium, you're wrong, right? So I was incredibly excited when I got to Forthea and saw that we've got some opportunity to do things a little bit differently with how we approach our social media go-to-market, but we're using it, which is important for clients to see, right? You're committed to the bit. You understand that your buyer is in a lot of different places potentially. And so you need to be there with them and having authentic conversations. So, I think the biggest piece of bullshit is acting like you can just like auto publish one post a week and get the job done. You have to be willing to do the grunt work, the everyday habitual activity that doesn't necessarily bear fruit today, but eventually turns into something that starts a conversation. And again, I think Brian and Steph and the entire Blind Zebra crew would tell you,
Shout out
like,
Blonde Zebra.
oh man, not to count the number of times they keep me honest, right? Because Brian just put up a something the other day that said it's not magic. So if you come to Blind Zebra, or if you're looking for some secret magic bullet, phrase magic bullet to selling that's going to do it for you, yeah, there's no pixie dust.
There's no, they say this, you say that. Like, that's all bullshit. Also, no one can think in real time like that. So you can write that shit down, put it on a Post-it note on your fucking monitor, and like, be yourself.
So when my partner and I started seeing each other, Josh comes from a tremendous sales background himself. Some of it in the beer and wine vertical and that industry. I mean, the way it's like, if they do this, do that. If this, then that, he literally had a card that he would had to take around in his briefcase that was like risk-based selling. I'm like, that's not makes
I had those. I had the same thing at US Foods.
He and I make fun of it. I've kept some of the books here as like a relic of, let's not do it this way.
At US Foods, similar vertical as the beer and wine. Like, there were a lot of sales reps who had named closes, like, right? Like fucking like Good Friday close, and the I don't know, maybe close. And like, it was like, I'm not that smart and I don't have a good memory. So I'm like, how do you remember this shit in the moment when the pitches are coming at you? Just be yourself.
Just be yourself. Because it's the only way you're actually going to get through this without saying dumb shit, or at the end of it, not feeling completely like emotionally blown apart, because you're going to be told no 70% of the time. Like, I don't care how good you are at sales, unless you've been faking it with your pipeline, you're not closing over half, which means over half the time you're being told no. You have built up a certain kind of skin. And so if what you need to get through a pitch is to fake it, oh boy, my
Yeah.
recommendation, pick something other than sales, because it's not for you. And I do think that if you go into a pitch or your go-to-market strategy and you're trying to be something else, you'll get sniffed out. And if you don't get sniffed out, the output won't be what was expected. And so again, I'll say, like, for anybody who doesn't know, like, Tom and I used to work together. Kudos to you for coming up with even the mixtape branding, because that's part of your ethos, right? Like,
Yeah. It's me.
it's
Yeah.
music, it's how can you put together a variety of songs that, like, tell you about a point in time. And I think it's brilliant, right? That's easy for you to be able to walk into a conversation with a brand and represent. I think there's a lot of agencies out there who start trying to be something and then they realize they can't get there, so they start faking it somewhere in between.
There's a lot of agency executives and founders, and the vast majority of these are people I don't know. Like, I just see them on LinkedIn. So I'm not
Yeah,
calling anyone out I know, but there's a lot of them out there where what I see the founder talking about account specific or like platform specific
who cares?
strategies.
Yeah, nobody
And I'm like,
cares.
there's no way in hell. Number one, if you're in platform as the founder of this like 100-person agency and you know this, your team hates you. Your team hates you because you're standing over their shoulder all day and you're on calls trying to take them over because you, in your heart of hearts, you should have stayed at an account manager level.
Yeah.
And the posts work. They have to work because they keep doing them. And I think maybe so what I've come to rationalize a bit is they work at scale, right? Maybe they work for larger agencies where you
Sure.
have you're casting a wider net, you have a larger funnel, you have inbound, outbound teams. But if I think I might have mentioned this on a past podcast, like it was like a few weeks in, I asked Elena, I was like, I feel weird just kind of like doing my shtick. Can I talk about what we do? Can I talk about something about mixed? And she was like, absolutely not. Everyone, no. She was like, no. And this is why I love her. Shout out Elena. Like,
She's great.
she's like, everyone who sees these knows you. And anyone who doesn't know you can click to Mixtape Digital and see what you do.
It's good advice.
It's really simple. And the second you start talking about feature, benefit, tactic, strategy, they know you're bullshitting. And your magic is not bullshitting.
I would agree with that. If I can devil's advocate that just a little bit, Elena, don't shoot me. Indie girlies unite, okay? I do think that there is a need to have a vision established and set by the leadership level, where I will give kudos to Chris Pappas, my CEO at Forthea. He does not meddle in the day to day. He does not bother with posting on LinkedIn every day, right? Sharing his thoughts, spewing what he gives a shit about. Like, that's not part of his deal. But what we do know is that it's important for folks to be able to see what
That's good advice.
the boots on the ground do care about. So where Mixtape, I think, has done a great job so far is it's very authentic and you can tell that, but we need to see more from your team. You know what I mean? Like, more of your Elenas. Get Elena in here.
To my team, I did not pay her to say that, by the way.
But that's true, right? Like,
It's
nobody actually cares what you think. It's who am I going to
really,
be working with?
really, really easy. And I get this from them. And because I was in that seat, like if someone had asked me that, they did ask me that. Like
Yeah.
at Brain Labs, they were like, we want you to be social media. There's a social media team. And I was like, which is weird that I'm here now, right? Because I wanted to be, but I was like too cool for school in my head.
I know.
And my team has been like, it's really easy for the teams out there to think, oh, you want me to sell? And it's like, no, 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 no.
No,
I want you to be
no.
yourself. And honestly, I want to know your opinion. So like if I want to know what you think of AI SEO and I want to know what you think of PMAX because future clients want to know the person leading the team that's going to be working with them, what their opinion is. Because if it's a different opinion, maybe we're not a fit. But if it is a similar opinion, it's worth a dialogue. I want them to see like not just what I say, but what they say as well. Yeah, that's honestly what Brain Labs taught me, which I was resistant to at first, was the team has to participate in the pitch.
Yes. And so that was my point, right? Is that you used to have people and you'd get in and I want that person. This is who I want to work with. And even now, right? Like, I'll Another shout out to gal I worked at my last spot, Megan Ray, also Sean Johnston. These are people who sometimes just get it at a greater degree. They, of course, can't be assigned to every client account, but they addressed the fact that they were willing to participate in pitches and they're adaptable enough that they could do it. And so it's the same thing where folks start to get like excited about working very directly with those individuals. And so your job is not to get them excited about the individuals. Your job is to get them excited about the squad behind it. And so I do think, again, if we go back to like the original question is what's bullshit in our industry? Nobody gives a fuck if you are sharing a new case study every 3 days, because of course you are. Of course you are. What people will care about is that you have more than 6 people on your team who are
Hey, hey,
willing
hey. Kidding.
to go out and say, yeah, we give a shit about this. We want more clients that look like this. This is the kind of work we're doing and that we care about. And that it really feels more like and I know you're not supposed to say it, like a family who's addressing a problem and not weird controlling dad who's like, do it this way, right? It comes off wrong. And that's you can spot those agencies. They
Yeah.
seem desperate. They look desperate.
There's a lot of founders that I've heard through the grapevine, a lot of CEOs who want and insist on being on client calls. And I could not be wired more differently because I am literally window dressing once it gets going. And it's like,
Hopefully, right?
yeah, like there's no point in me being here because I'm just reading vibes and it's all recorded via AI. So if it's a weird meeting, I can just watch it. And if you are a good leader, and I'm going to call out people on this. If you're a good leader, you are having the 30-minute phone call every couple of months at least with a client just to catch up and see how business is, how the team's doing, they're doing, anything else we can do for them. And sometimes it's glorified, how are the kids? And sometimes it's uncovering opportunities. Sometimes it's uncovering stuff that you're fucking up.
Yeah.
It's the hardest, it's the easiest work to do, and it's the hardest thing to make yourself do. Just again, an old outside sales, US Foods, shout out US Foods. The hardest door to open is the one to your car. And it's because it's true. Like it's at this level, no one's making me meet with clients. No one made me meet with clients at Brain Labs. And you could go years without having to be accountable for that. But the second something's wrong and they're like, what's the story there? And you don't know, you should be scared.
100%. I've always worked in, let's call them boutique sales departments, right? Where like there's not that many of us. So you can't just like send the mass out and hope to disappear behind the volume of work that's going on. I've
Yeah.
always been in a player coach sort of role, right? But part of that I think makes you honest is that if there's ever a slump in pipeline or in delivered revenue, it's like, well, what did you do? What did you do to make it happen? And so I think a leadership team that is actually doing their job knows they're doing their job. If when bad shit happens, they don't go, what did we forget? Bad shit happens all the time. All the time. You'll hit a moment where pipeline is down, closing is down, and churn is bad. Those things will happen. It's a matter of if any segment of the team goes, did they see us not right? Then
Yep.
that's when you know you've made a mistake. And so when I see solid teams and what's bullshit versus not bullshit, everybody runs into bad times. It's how you handle them. And if you're really willing to take a look at your losses, sometimes even harder than your successes, and learn from that. And
So go ahead. Sorry.
no, I that's in my most pivotal moments of my career. It's looking at things and going, okay, if we're being honest, we didn't do this. So
And
we can
and teams are
make
very often not honest with themselves.
exactly. So you could make stuff up. You could point fingers at other stuff. You could say, it's the economy. Good Lord. It's always going to be the economy.
It's always yeah.
It's always the economy. But like, did you wake up? Did you do some shit today?
And the thing is, there's always something more you could do. So do more. Like it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. But there's always like it's hard work managing client success.
Yeah.
It's impossible. Part of it, you have to be wired to want to deliver the mail every day because every
Yep.
day you wake up and there's a fresh load of mail to deliver.
There's something else you got to do. There's
So
something else to do.
do you think that's what separates good agencies from bad? But what else separates the good ones from the bad ones? And you can't just say they're people, right? Because everyone says they're people. Trust me,
No,
having to come up with differentiators for mixtape, it's so easy to say, "Our people."
yeah, no, okay, I won't say people, but that's also rude. Like, how dare you? I won't say people, but I will say I've now worked for a few agencies and I think leadership is critical. There are founder CEO types that want to be and prefer to be involved in the day-to-day. And I'll say it not so humbly anymore because I've been doing this long enough that I those are easier problems to solve.
You're right. It's, things they can control. And I've learned that in the past few months sitting in this seat. It's really easy when you have an hour free to move toward the thing that you're used to fixing.
Yep, the easy
And
thing.
and the thing that makes you feel good, because
Yes.
there are a lot of days, and I don't believe in founder's burden. That's bullshit. I'm just calling out, like, being a CEO, it's fucking hard. Yeah, like, everyone gets paid before you. You never get paid, you lose money, whatever. I'd still rather do this than work a through shift on the grill at Chi-Chi's in 1999. This is not hard work, right? Like, it's not, because the hardest thing is to make yourself do the thing that's hard, and
Yeah,
it's really easy to, and I catch myself doing it. You catch yourself in that hour going toward the thing that's like the fun thing to work on, or the thing that you can fix, or you can fix, that will make you at, whenever you close it, feel like I did something today. It's not. It's fool's gold. It's not actually doing something. You're actually doing something that you probably have someone on the team who you pay to
yep,
do, and you're stepping on someone's toes, or you're
yep,
not developing someone saying, "Hey, I really want you to do this." And that's the second lesson I've learned, is I've got to get better at saying, "I need you to own this. And here's what I need you to do, because this is where you shine."
totally. And I think this is where you can kind of put it in the inverse. And it's like that's how I know I don't want that role. Because I even in my day to day, like when I look at my to-do list, it's like, oh God, I don't want to do that. I have no desire to spend any of today's hours on that behemoth of a problem. I would rather send 20 LinkedIn messages to people who I know are having a certain problem, see if I can get 3 new deals in the pipeline, and toss one of them over to a colleague for them to work on, right? Like, and that's where I know I'm not meant for. Maybe much bigger than this VP level position that I'm at, where I get to manage things, I get to run a department, but like, I don't know if I wanna don't know if that's for
You'll know when you
me.
know. You'll know when you know.
So
It comes to
no,
you.
we'll see.
We've both worked with a lot of people who, I think, they say they want to take the next step or do something different or move to a different level as their goal. And I would honestly question that. Like,
Right.
it's more about, like, it's like they think that's the clearest path, or what they think that's what they want to do. And there's an element of that. I mean, at Brain Labs, where people would say, like, I want to be a managing partner and I want to be a client
Why?
partner. And they would get a taste of it if someone's on vacation, or we get them a project, or they'd be on a pitch and they'd be like, "Holy shit, is this what your day's like every day?" It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is the job.
Yeah.
And it's the thing where I used to say, like, the it's not true, but it's straight hyperbole. The phone never rings with good news in this seat. Like, the bat phone rings all day long, and it's everything from someone quit, someone wants to quit, someone wants a raise, client's
Yep.
unhappy,
Yep.
client's happy, but they want more, and there's just something weird going on. And that's just like a snippet of it.
Well, because that's
And
the external stuff only. You're not
yeah,
talking about the inundation of meetings. Like it's one of my I will never be anything more than a straightforward department lead. People who report to me know, I'll look at them and go, if you don't want to sit in a 2-hour long meeting, brainstorming, problem solving, I'm telling you, leadership's not for you, right? Because like
mhm,
that's what it turns into. It's
mhm.
hour and a half long L10 meetings
Oh, the L.
like it's 2-hour long. Let's talk about the influence of AI for our business. And is that a
We'll get there on
thing?
the next question.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, I sorry to interrupt you, but you're absolutely so fucking right. And I've had meetings with my team where we're talking about where we want to be, what we want to do, how we want to present ourselves. And and I'll add to yours, like, you could be in a 2-hour meeting discussing these things. And at the very end, I've been on both sides now, where I'm like, yeah, I don't like any of it.
I
Like,
don't
it's
like
like
any
2
of it.
hours wasted. Like, there's got to be something more. Let's keep digging. Let's
Or
dig again in 2 weeks, right?
or
And
you get out of the meeting and you're sitting there staring at your email and you're like, And 3 people I could have gotten back to in that
Yep.
time frame, right? And so it's it's
Yep.
it's the give and take of, again, the thing that fills my cup is watching the ticker move. It's seeing the wins, it's watching the celebrations, it's seeing the commission come in, right? Like, so is it I have to ask myself this question regularly because I've gotten to a point in my career where it's like, what's next? Do I keep managing at this kind of level, or do I want a C-suite strategy growth role? And it's like, I don't know. And I think too many people, if I had to give Kayla 25 advice, any Kayla out there looking for advice,
There's a lot of
like,
them.
I'm sure there are many of us now. Like, don't think the C-suite is how you go to family get gatherings and feel like you've done it. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like I've done it now because I get to look at my family and go, I'm not coming to that cookout. It's because I'm taking a pitch call that's exciting for me and my family. And you know what I mean? Like, that's important to me. But then also, when there's a Friday afternoon leadership huddle, I can be like, nah, man, I got a concert to go to. I can't
Well,
be here for this.
and so much of it too is like you think that I think growing up, Kayla at 25, Tom at 25, you think in terms of titles and like
Hmm.
I have less pull. My team went from 110 to 15, and it's it's different, but the
Hmm.
title's bigger, and it's hilarious because social media feeds this.
Oh, yeah.
Is that like whenever I would want to like talk to someone about a gig, if I saw like a really great chief growth officer or COO role, like I couldn't get anyone to talk to me. Literally, I changed my title, announced Mixtape Digital. In the first 2 weeks, I had 3 or 4 reputable recruiters reach out to me about C-suite level positions with agencies
Oh,
that were
yeah.
over 200 people about roles. And I was like, what? Where were you 4 years ago? Like, where were you through the years? All I did was change my title. And then obviously you did not go look at any of the posts to see that we just launched an agency. Like, it's hilarious to me. And it just makes you realize how hollow it is. Yet that stuff still works, right? When we talk about like, you probably do it now or have done it before where you're like, like when you step in and send an email, it gets a response because escalation point or an SVP escalation point or a C-suite escalation point. And
And
it's like
or
the silly little like mental games that people are like, oh, the CEO or the SVP or the VP emailed me. I should respond.
I hate that my title has business development in it. I talk about that all the time. Like, I hate it. It was one of the things I thought was really notable about my early career in sales at Hannafin is we looked at my title and we were like, what do we want to call this that doesn't smell like
Sales.
BDR, right? Like, and
Yeah.
and we were very, specific about that. But, again, if I can be so bold, since you know me to generally do, like, I heard the folks that you've got lined up and or who have already come before me as part of the panel who you've interviewed for this, and like, I'm the first female, I think, right? Good. And I think a lot of what I am up against often is like, if you're the woman in the room, like, what's your role here? And so even for women especially, I think you start off your career and you look at the top of the totem pole and you go, how do I get up there? And I'll say, like, full stop, I spent a lot of my life, like, my mid to late 20s when I should have been, my therapist would be so pissed at me right now. Should have been focused on like a family, building up my career and like making sure that I was able to do things on my own, confident in who I was, running out there and doing hard things. And so now you get to a point where even now it's you look at your life and it's the children that I get to have in my life are bonus kiddos, and so I don't have to full time be a present part of their lives. And so there's still that pressure of like, then you better go get a C-suite position. And it's like, for what, dude?
For
Like,
what? For what?
for what? Like, I love being able to go, and that's the end of my day today, and go learn a weird dance that Mavis wants me to know off of
Yeah.
TikTok, or
Well, and I
like,
think, yeah. And I
you
think
know?
people don't realize that at that level, like you don't get to close it. Like you're always on. And then the people who whine about it and the founder's burden, it's like,
Mhm.
boo hoo, I'm always on. It's like, yeah, well, come on. You
You
signed
chose
up
that.
for it. You
This is
chose that.
what you wanted. This is what you
This
wanted.
is you picked this, you glamorized it, you went towards it, and now you're like, woe is me. Also, you control your own destiny. You're doing okay. You're
Yeah.
not working fry side at Chi Chi's on line 2 on a Friday during Cinco de Mayo weekend.
This is all fine, right? Like, yeah. So like you chose this, and some of us aren't choosing those things. So
It's
don't pull people down into the depths of your ego when you weren't willing to make peace with that ego to begin with. Like, I think that's where it really starts to get, you start to understand who people really are and why they're doing things. And if you even move outside of business, you think about how and why people are driven to do certain things. And most people are driven by a couple of common themes: finances, right? Like just financial security, emotional security, or physical security. Like it all comes down to that. And so if you find a spot for you where you have all three, don't keep shooting for some weird thing you think you have to have. Like, be confident in where you're at and live there. Be
totally.
fine with that.
It's I mentioned this when you were talking about you're the first woman on the podcast, and we used to run into this when we would try to get speakers for HeroConf,
Hmm.
right? We wanted, I think, 50-50 at
Hmm.
least.
At
And
least.
I've seen it proven true twice now where, and they say this is some study or whatever, like a man sees a job posted on LinkedIn and it's like, I could get that job, and they're not qualified at all. They just apply. A
Hmm.
woman sees the same job and says, I don't meet all 10 of these criteria. I'm not going to apply.
Hmm.
We saw the same thing speaking at HeroConf. I've seen the same thing so far with the podcast, in that I actually had 2 women I reached out to be guests who I think were just like, hey, it's no, and it was like, totally get it. Also, you have to create a different set of psychological safety. So I
Yep.
was like, hey, Stephanie and Elena, it's probably weird that I'm just reaching out to people to be on the podcast. So it's weird, number one, because I also
Real
don't do
weird.
it enough, right? So Stephanie reaches out to people now. But
Okay.
secondarily, I was like, let's start reaching out to some of the people who didn't reply or said no once we start releasing episodes,
There you go.
because I think there's a validation that this is a real thing, which is just indicative of how shitty our culture is and how awful people can be, that you just can't trust anyone. And I don't blame people. And it's been hard. Admittedly, it's been hard because it was one of the first things we recorded Jeff and Kent, and Elena was like, I don't want this to be dude soup. And I was like, I am with you. I don't either. And we like went out and made the effort, and it was like, this is weird. And I was like, shit, this is that same thing playing out, where you have to be, in your seat, you have to be a little bit more guarded on who you jump in and talk to, and like what.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are you
By
willing
the
to expose? Like, what are you okay with people seeing as a potential fault? Like, I even realize it. Like, I gotta spend some time with my diary about the fact that I focused on all, like, the things that you sent me question wise. I focused on my wins. I'm still weird with accepting my losses. I lose all the damn time. It's perfectly fine. It's part of the day. But it is a weird, you have to assume a slightly different approach. It goes back to, it's the expectation of, if I show up for a video call, right? So I texted, people should know this. I texted Tom ahead of this and was like,
is a hoodie okay?
it feels like I want to wear one of my favorite artists' merch on this because it's a mixtape podcast, but like I'm gonna wear a hoodie. Is that okay? But I've very specifically been by Upsall is like the truth. You should look her up. She's angry about a lot of
Just
things,
it's
and
exactly what you need. Jesus Christ.
yeah, she's brilliant. She's brilliant. So please, but there's an expectation. I've been approached in the past about literally my apparel, which is no different than how the average male often shows up for something. But the expectation is that I guess I'm supposed to be in heels. And you know what I mean? It's like
It's weird.
it's a
It's
very
really super
weird
weird.
thing. And so same thing goes, right, for finding your place in an organization. I even still find that, like, I get tossed into organize this, project manage this, rally and cheerlead this thing. And it's like, well, hold the hell on. There's a lot more to the feminine aesthetic than just like, let's go team. And I don't think that that's also not lost on me, because if you look at an organization that is reporting poor morale. It's because it's a little too, here's your job, do your job today. And it's like, so what you kind of need is like a motherly type to say, we're all trying to do something extra cool. That means the work's a little harder right now, but once we get through this, it'll be worth it. It's like walking the sixth graders through their math homework, right? Like, it'll be worth it. Just get through this and then never have to multiply a decimal again. I can promise you,
Yeah.
right? But it is a different approach. And I still have to set myself down at least on an annual basis and go like, what do you want with your career? What are you trying to do? Brian Neal asked me, do you want to be a player or do you want to be a coach? Do you want to be Tyrese? Do you want to be Rick Carlisle? Like, do you want to birth good players or do you want to be a good player? And my answer to Brian at the time was I want to be both, and he got really pissed at me. But I think that there's like you have to at least pick
You, you,
one or the other you want to wait to.
yeah. And you can be one and then transition into another. Rick Carlisle was a player, right? Like at a different stage of your career. It's more about what you want to be now. And I mean, I applaud you. And I've always been very impressed is an understatement that you have balanced like tenuous tightrope of, and I've seen it in real time, and I'm guilty of it with you, of like wanting people to be involved and to care
Mhm.
and to be enthusiastic, but then and then the old trope of like, well, she's a bitch or she's angry all the time. And you're like, no, like like if a guy does that, he's a take charge kind of guy.
He's
And
ambitious.
he's ambitious. And it's like you've had to walk that tightrope because you have a very captivating, fiery personality. And I know that it could be hard sometimes to be like, no, I just want us all to move forward. If this were coming out of a 52-year-old bald white guy, you wouldn't have this conversation with me. And I think that that's where it's amazing to me. Our industry, the demographics, I'm making these up, but I think it's
Mhm.
like 50-50, right? Like it's a woman not dominated, but it's very equal in our industry. And to still have those same tropes within this industry, fucking disappointing.
It definitely is, especially when you look at there's so many of us who have got incredible pedigree in this business by this point, right? So, just calling out, we've already talked about like Elena and Stephanie, but like Brittany Sager is somebody that I watched transition, industries from being a teacher in the public school system to really like adapting so quickly to the digital marketing industry and had to, kind of, I don't want to say dampen, because if I ever said that Brittany Sager dampened herself at all, she'd be like, get out of here, dude. But like had to like reset herself and reprove herself. And I do think that that is what might be a little bit imbalanced in this industry is, do I walk into a room anymore? And I don't know if you remember the pitches, but there would be times when it was my deal, right? Like it was my opportunity. I had been talking to these people for weeks, and it bothered me less when they would edit the conversation to you and Jeff because you were VP and president at the time. And so I guess part of that makes sense. But then even when we started taking Mike and Danny,
They would immediately
they would
gravitate.
they would gravitate toward the males in the room as if they had more decision-making power in the conversation than I did. And I will say, like, shout out to the world we're living in, at least right now, for all of the things that are shitty about it. There are more people who are out there going, no, girl, like you take you make sure they know who you are, why you're in that room, remind them of the seat you're in and why, right? And so again, that's, I think, if you're hearing this, if you're watching this and you're like, yeah, I'm a girl out here in this world too, keep being a girl in this world, but also call out that bullshit. Because it took me some years, but I finally started in front of those people and going, no, the person you're negotiating with is me. Like, sidebar story, I live in a home with my partner and both of our names are on this house. I submitted a service request for the
And they went to
people
him.
and they sent him an email about it. And I got really pissed because I was like, for starters, I submitted the initial service request, so it's weird. But then also, I'm actually home. Like, he goes to an office and does
You're
the
there.
like, I'm here. So if there's somebody you need to fuck with, it's me. And you went around me, and now I'm angry too.
I
So
see that all the time. I see
all the
that. Amy and
time.
I see that all the time, and
I'm
it's more of
sure.
those traditional industries like like the
HVAC home services.
HVAC, home services,
Sure.
repairmen, and I say repairmen, which is a sexist term, repair person. They show up and they're like,
Yeah.
"Hey, little lady, is the man of the house here?" And you're like, "What? No, she knows more about this than I do. What the fuck?"
It's crazy, right? It's like it's so that's where again, I think the world is shifting a bit and I don't necessarily see the value of my person being entirely in the home. I also don't see it entirely being in the C-suite at an agency. It's somewhere in between, and that's also the kind of thing that I think more women need to see in the world. It's what like I want my little girl person to know is like go out and get you some. Like make a mockery of whatever industry you want to and then take a beat and go on vacations and take care of yourself, and that's the stuff that I don't think as a woman you either come in and they're like you better go for the top or
Well,
sit down. And I think you can just as much as anybody shoot for somewhere in between and still kick ass at it.
I think it's a healthy bounce back from the Sheryl Sandberg girl boss.
Oh, lean
Like,
in.
lean in. You need to be in the C-suite, and I think that the same message resonates. And it's a problem with us as a society is that everyone wants to be a CEO, even if they don't really want to be a CEO, or everyone wants to be an influencer and be famous. And it's going back to the home services industry. There's a problem there because nobody wants to be a plumber or an HVAC person or remodel kitchens. So they're all booked up forever. It's super expensive and you can't
Yep.
find anyone who is younger. They're all old school and they've been doing this for years and years. They have a great level of experience, but you just don't see apprentices because I think gone is the day of I'm going to go do this trade. This is my trade and I
Totally.
love it. And I'm going to make great money doing it. And I'm going to go home every day at 5 and have a beer because everyone is like, we're like teased into you should want more. And it's a part of I think you can go down the path of like student debt. It's in like college loans. Like student loans are horrible because I think you and I are like the generation that our parents were like, you need to go to school no matter what. And if everyone does that, then there's a glut of people with education, English, business management degrees trying to get the same fake email jobs.
For sure. And like I hate to keep talking about like my bonus humans, but we've got a 17-year-old. He's in his senior year of high school. The day he came home and was like, I don't think I want to go to college. There was like a what? Like, hold on. But what lights him up is not class. He's a gearhead. He likes working on engines and the things with his hands. I don't care how much AI there is in the world, there are still machines that are running the world. So, my only advice at this juncture to him is at least consider taking a couple of classes, right, where you can learn about the machines that run not like that, that the computers are, like at least give yourself the edge. But I get it. He's not wrong, right? It doesn't not everybody needs to follow the same path. I made the joke earlier that I had an algorithm that had been given to me of what my life needed to be. And it ran me toward, okay, you're in college. What are you going to do? Don't know. My grandma was a teacher. I guess I'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked like the most random thing.
Because you're like 17 years old. What do you?
You're a baby. Like, how
Yeah.
are you ever supposed to know? And
And our parents didn't know, right? I think you and I come from similar backgrounds where like our parents were like, do better than I did. I want you to be more successful than us. And like, I want you to like, and that's great. But also like, my mom didn't know what a college prep course was.
what does that look like? Yeah, like
What it saying?
how do we get there? And yeah, so like then you end up in student debt and you don't know why. You don't even know how you got there or like what the
Yeah,
purpose was. I didn't even use my degree. And so to the point where I don't want to you know,
you did, but that's another conversation.
I don't want to send any like misnomers out into the atmosphere right now, but there are trades and things that you can do with your professional career that don't necessarily require you to go out and do some random 4-year degree. There are limited things I could pull from my 4 years at Indiana University, which shout out Hoosiers. Listen, I loved it. We had a great time. But there's very few things that I actually bring into my day-to-day in the thing that I love doing every day. And so like I wish there were opportunities for kids, young adults to just be more exploratory in their education even. And same thing to young professionals. Don't call yourself a salesperson. Don't call yourself a marketer. Get a job somewhere and spend a couple of months with the mailroom. Spend a couple of months in engineering. Learn more outside of
I mean,
your
you have
little
ample
box.
time and it flies. So if you think that you're taking a step back or two steps back to learn and you're not making the money or you're not doing what you want, that's okay. You see a lot in the market right now because a lot of people, unfortunately, are losing their jobs and they're being pushed out in the market
Yep.
in our industry.
Yep.
And people coming out of school are like, I can't even get a sniff of an interview. And it's like, that's okay. Find something,
Find
make a
something.
little bit of money. I'm not trying to be the old person I'm not saying pay your dues. That's
No.
not what I'm saying. I'm
No.
saying any activity within an umbrella of the area you think you might want to work in helps you learn, number one, whether or not you really want to do that, which is a huge difference. And I think
For
I'll
sure.
mention this, like I'm proud of your bonus person. That's weird saying bonus person. Who's saying that. Number one, I have the comfort level to say that to you and Josh, but also I did the same thing. Like I didn't get my degree until 2013, 2014. And I realized I'm at this director level at an agency who took a chance on me without a degree. And I was like, I really should get it at some point. Number one, to prove it to myself that I can. But number two, should I go get another job somewhere? I know I'm going to be kicked out by automation. And like the environment now is so much easier to go out and get a degree and not have to go through like what you went through on campus, off campus, like walk into class. You don't have to do any of that shit. You could still get that degree from an accredited university. And I've had people ask me, I talked to a lot of people in the past few months who were graduating from IU, shout out
Hmm.
Hoosiers, who were like, should I put my GPA? Should I put like ask me for resume advice? And I'm like, hey, like one of the things I always tell people is like, just put no, I've 15 years in this business. I never once looked at a GPA. I looked down to see where you went to school so I can find some similar thread. That's it. And if you went to Michigan, I can bring up I'm a Notre Dame fan. I mean, like if you went to Purdue, we can bring up the IU Purdue thing. Like, I don't look at that as like, do they have a degree? Ooh, sheesh.
No, quite literally. I think even when I look at some of the folks that I've run across in my career who have had some of the best, I will say professional like bedside manner. They didn't come through a traditional means. My own mom, like she grew up in an atypical atmosphere and had a lot of jobs that were not what one might put down on their like vision board of my mommy does this thing, but my mother taught me adaptability and how to understand a person you were speaking to and not like chameleon to them, but empathize. Just get to know that. And you don't learn that in college.
Uh, you definitely don't. I don't. Yeah, you don't.
You don't
And I
learn that
think,
in college. You don't get that out of a book.
I mean, yeah.
It's either something that's in you or you collect from the people around you, wherever those people come from.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same reason people say restaurant people, sense of urgency,
Oh, hey,
fairness,
I stand
EQ.
by that. I stand
I'm
by
all about
that.
that. I think there's an element of what you don't learn in school is it's like doing what you say you're going to do, hitting a deadline. A lot of that is like coded into you. And I think that a lot of it you get through experience. And you and I have worked with a lot of people who are fresh out of school and have had to like, they've kind of like life hits them in the face 3 months in. And there were a lot of people we worked with at Hannafin who we thought weren't going to make it, we like sat down and had that conversation with them, who then turned into superstars who are still our friends to this day
Uh,
and who are just like amazing. And it's like they're just wired to get it immediately. And you have one conversation with someone and they're like, oh shit, okay, I get how it works.
and again, I'll say, like, I don't even know how the hell we ended up on this topic, but the way that your life like tells you you're supposed to go, just find something, find anything, experience that, and pick out the bits that you like,
Hmm.
leave the rest, and then move on to the next thing. Like I loved my time with Hannafin and Brain Labs, but I wish I hadn't stayed as long
Yeah.
because I think I did myself a disservice of going out and experiencing some of the things I've now gathered in the last 5 years so rapidly,
I
you
mean,
know?
it's a regret, right? Like, and I wanted to jump for all the right reasons, in that I felt like I loved Brain Labs, and I felt like I was at the end of my story there, and it was time for
Yeah.
me to be able to tell a more interesting story, pass or fail, whatever comes of this. And then within like a few days of being out here, I was like, man, I could have done this so much longer. It ignites a different, and it's nothing against where you're at. You just kind of realize that you you get comfortable and you fear change and you want to
Yep.
stay within your comfort zone. And the second you
Yep.
get out of it, you're like, oh, this isn't too bad. Then someone hits you in the face with a sledgehammer, you lose a couple deals, and you're like, oh, yay, this does suck sometimes,
Oh,
but
this
that's
is the
different.
worst. No, and again, because I'm first female panelist on the podcast, I think that's good life. That's good life advice. I think there's a lot of us out there who get into a path and we're like, this is it, committed, and then all the red flags are popping up, and you just refuse to want to see them. Like whether it's your friends, if it's a loved one, like if it's your job, man, if the red flags are popping off, like start collecting them. I will say again, and not to talk about Taylor too much, but one of the things that I think is so great about Taylor Swift and what she puts out in the world right
Hmm.
now is that she started being typecast as a certain kind of girl who only made a certain kind of music for a certain kind of person. She said, "I've let you do this for too long, right? Like you've made me out to be this certain person." So like you even said something earlier about like yeah, I've made myself out to be a certain character in most of the teams that I've been a part of, and I'm okay with that character. As a female, you often don't get that option. And, somebody who had her music taken from her and she had to go out and earn more to get back what she had already done, kind of nonsense. And so, if you think about male, female, starting your career late in your career, what do you want your career to look like when you get to stare back at it? And if you're not on that path, just change it. If it's a red flag that sends you down a different path, change it. And it's easy to think you can't. I didn't think I could work anywhere other than Hannibin. I really thought that, right? Like I've learned a set of skills. This is where I am. I have learned that that set of skills is useful to so many other teams, and that's where people get stuck.
Yeah.
There's
Or if you
no
want to
need to be
learn,
stuck.
absolutely, and if you want to learn new skills, the best way to learn new skills is to move to a new team
Go
and to
find a new
challenge
team.
yourself, to be challenged. I think the Taylor Swift reference, we've bookended, and it's a great place to wrap things. Kayla, I cannot thank you enough. You've spent so much time.
Good.
This is a two-parter. I'm going to make it be a two-parter. It's been wonderful catching up. I absolutely cannot thank you enough. Your story is impeccable. I love the journey. I just love catching up with old bullshit stories. I thank you for being on the podcast. Thank you for being the first woman recorded for the podcast.
Thanks for bringing me into it. If there's anything I can do to help you guys, definitely let me know. But also, sincerely, if you're watching this and you found any of this helpful, we are two very foolish human beings.
So
The bar is pretty low.
let's just learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, subscribe below. Yeah, have me back anytime.
Thanks, Kayla. Take care.
Thanks.